Richard, as always, thanks for joining us. The Astros coming off a huge win last night, of course, clinching now the AL West champions once again back-to-back. Huge win for them. And, of course, just a few years ago, this team wasn't anywhere near this moment, and now back-to-back.
You think about that, back-to-back 100-win seasons, first time since 2004, 2005 in Major League Baseball. And you go all the way back to 1990, I believe, was the last time a World Series champion came back in 100 games. So it's a hard thing, you know, and we talked about it early in the season, how when you win a world championship, everybody's shooting at you. Everybody wants a piece of you. So for the Astros, and they've had their moments where it hasn't looked all that great this year, for them to win 100 games, that's very strong. Now,
what are the next few days going to look like? Obviously, they clinched. They still have 5 games left. What are you going to see from that? One
of the things is, of course, now A.J. Hinch has the luxury of resting some of these guys who are really dinged up. I mean, you look at Jose Altuve and his bad knee. Correa's got the bad back. You can actually go down the checklist this time of year after 150 games or so, 160 games. You start to feel it. So he's got very tough decisions to make because not all these guys are going to make it. And what's interesting is some of the guys who were in the World Series chase last year actually played roles are not going to make the playoff roster, especially on the pitching side. They're so strong and they're so deep on pitching. They brought in some really great talent that's going to knock out a couple of those guys that played roles last year.
Yeah, mentioned pitching. Of course, the Astros as a team with the lowest ERA. Who do you think will be making it, and who do you think will be making up that starting 5 roster?
I think obviously you've got Dallas Keuchel's got the experience. Justin Verlander's going to make it. We hope Charlie Morton's shoulder's okay. You know, and then, of course, Garrett Cole, one of the newcomers who's been an absolutely outstanding player this year. He and Verlander are going to be 1 and 2 in the strikeout chase in the American League. Those are 2 strong guys to have in the playoffs. But a lot of those guys, if you remember last year, A.J. Hinch in the playoffs, he did a lot of the pitching rotations because he had the luxury of the scattered schedule. You know, when you have a couple days off between games, he was able to put in a Charlie Morton in relief, or Lance McCullers was primarily a reliever last year. That'll probably happen again. You're going to see a lot of those guys who were starters during the year. Maybe a Charlie Morton becomes a reliever and pitches 2 or 3 innings at a time. I don't envy any of the teams going up against the Astros right now. That's not to say they're going to win another championship. Nobody's done it since 2000. Nobody's repeated. But I tell you, Adriana, you look at that and you think you've got those pitchers coming at you just in waves. And that's what the Astros have with that ERA and with those strong arms.
So A.J. Hinch said that lately they haven't been playing their best in general, but they have won the last 5 games, so they're getting hot at the right time.
Right.
But then they have to wait another week and a half until they actually start the playoffs. How do you think that kind of lull in between, that waiting game, will affect the team?
I think they'll be okay because there's a lot of veteran talent there. They've been there, done that. You know, they've been through these situations before where they've had you know, the little waiting game going on. They'll play a lot of inter-squad stuff, and they'll kind of keep going. I think you'll see the guys play all the way in this Baltimore series, the last 4 games of the year. I think you'll see just to keep them kind of fresh, they'll keep them out there. But yeah, it's always a concern because you're going to have especially when they won 18 of their first 22 games in September,
right.
And to all of a sudden put the skids on that. Okay, we're done for a week and a half. You know, just you guys try to stay sharp as best you can.
Right.
But last year they were 12 games up by this time, and they'd already clinched a week and a half ago. So you know. Things worked out okay. So a lot of veteran talent and a lot of guys walking around that locker room that'll keep everybody sharp.
Good. Well, we're looking forward to the Astros, of course, in the postseason. Not wild card. Thankfully, we won't have to deal with those stresses of that one game.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Richard, as always.
No, my pleasure. Great to talk about this.
Yeah.
You're watching Sports Tonight, San Antonio's only nightly 30-minute sportscast with exclusive sports coverage you won't find anywhere else.